Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 5. And well, I done goofed. I've actually already done this episode before, but I accidentally deleted it when I was getting rid of some junk files in my on the video folder on my computer. So I now have to do this whole thing all over again, and I'm pretty peeved about it, to say the least. So, unfortunately, everything that you're going to see up from now all the way to the end of this video, which will basically be the last video of Chapter 5, I've already seen before, so unfortunately you're not going to be getting a blind reaction to any of it. So, I apologize, but, well, I think it's been firmly established at this point that sometimes I can be quite an idiot. So, I'm not going to even bother doing a recap on the last episode, because frankly I don't have the patience for it right now. I just want to get this re-recording of the finale for Chapter 5 done and over with. And instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys something hopefully very interesting to look forward to right at the very end of this episode. Because I got some big theories that I formulated regarding the true nature of the conspiracy that's going on in Hinamizawa, and how I think Shion's case regarding her possible infection, this bug that I speculate she has in essence basically snowballed into me not only figuring out how, or at least getting an idea of how this thing operates, this curse, this virus or whatever, but how it may very well tie into all the other crap that's been going on in Hinamizawa that's ever since the beginning of the question arcs. So, right at the very end, I will go into all the details surrounding that, along with any other theories I feel tie into the whole thing. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Now, I believe I need to select this one. Keiichi squeezed out those words. He sounded good, like he was about to bite me.
ようやくお目覚め？私、さっき嘘をついたね。シオンを一番むごたらしく殺してやろうと思って閉じ込めておいたけど、まだ思いつかないって言ったやつ。あれが嘘。
I smiled as I laid out the huge nails and hammer specially made for the nail table.
あの子に自分のせいで死ぬ大勢の人の悲鳴をたっぷりと聞かせて、体の芯まで染み通らせてから殺すの。なかなかセンスいいでしょ？
お前は誰だ？
は？ミオンでしょ？園崎ミオン。恐怖で頭が変になっちゃった？
違うな。お前が園崎ミオンであるはずがない。
I stopped moving. Kei-chan? Shit. I decided the naming game would be over once we reached Shion's cell. Therefore, even if he guessed this time, it would be too late. Oh well. Sure. I'll listen to you. This is your last chance.
へえ。じゃあ、私がミオンじゃなかったら、私は誰なわけ？
Come on, Kei-chan. Guess who I am. Why don't you try and save Mion, the girl who fell in love with you?
鬼だ。
え？
お前はミオンじゃない。さっきまで一緒だったミオンを返せ。
ケイちゃん、本当に頭は大丈夫？恐怖で頭がどうかなっちゃった？
触るな！この鬼め！返せ！ミオンを返せよ！俺の最高の友人だったミオンを返せ！
I listened to him with a blank expression.
ミオンを目の前にしてミオンを返せなどとお前事であることは分かってる。でも 目の前の今のこいつは断じてミオンではありえない。認めるわけにはいかないんだ。
That's great. So I'm not Mion or Shion. He doesn't even see me as my sister. No, wait. That's not it. Keiichi protected the Mion in his heart until the end. He didn't accept the fact that Mion was a murderer. And not just that either. He protected the Shion in his heart as well. He didn't conclude that if Mion wasn't a murderer, then it must have been Shion. To Keiichi, Shion was someone who always made fun of Mion. But that was it. It wasn't like they'd known each other for a long time. But Keiichi protected her. He protected Shion from being a murderer. That's why I'm a demon, and not Mion or Shion, huh? A demon, huh? A demon. That's stupid. But isn't that just right on the money? However, Keiichi didn't back off. He kept screaming. He screamed loudly, so I could hear his voice even when I was stuck inside of a demon.
頑張れミオン。こんな鬼畜生に負けるな。本当に強いお前の力を見せてくれ。
Surely he isn't talking to me knowing that I'm the real Mion, right? He's just confusing us again. So there's no reason to let my heart be disturbed by Keiichi's screams towards Mion.
頼むよミオン。ミオン、どこでお前はこんな鬼に負けちまったんだ。お前はこんな弱いやつじゃないだろ。負けるな。戦え。
He's right. I didn't fight back. How did he know? How did he know I didn't fight back? I lost to the demon. After all, I'm weak. I'm not strong enough to defeat the demon. Even so, Keiichi continued to talk to Mion. His voice had become hoarse, and he had begun sobbing. He kept mumbling, Mion, Mion.
ケイちゃん、メイドの土産なんて気の利いたものじゃないけれど、どうしても知りたがっているようだから一つだけ教えてあげるよ。私の中に鬼が宿ったのはずいぶん前。その鬼は私を蝕み強行に駆り立てようとした。だけれど私はそれを理性で押さえつけた。鬼はそれで収まり、私はその鬼はどこかへ行ってしまったんだと思い込んでいた。でも本当は違った。私の中から出て行ったんじゃなく、私の中で眠っていただけだったの。
That was the truth. When I learned about Satoshi-kun's disappearance, my weak soul couldn't take the sadness, and anger filled me to the brim. But the insanity had stopped there. time had healed me and embraced me with memories of Satoshi-kun.
その鬼はある小さなことをきっかけにまた目覚めてしまった。それは何に原因があったと思う？
It was such a little thing.
鬼の私が教えるのも変だけれど、あんたが全てをおかしくしてしまった元凶。
A tear rolled down my cheek.
あの時あんたがもらった人形を躊躇なく私に渡していたなら、全ての異常は起こらなかったかもしれない。ケイちゃんには理解できないだろうね。理解できなくて当然だけどね、そこからドミノ倒しみたいにパタパタパタといろんなものが倒れ始めて、初めの小さな一つを倒したあなたに自覚がないのは当然だろうけど、あなたが元凶なの。
You've had control right from the very beginning. No one really forced you to use your stun gun on Mion or Oryu, and then everything that followed right after that. I guess maybe Mion, I could kind of understand why you'd use it on her. But, because, I mean, it looked like as though she was about to throttle you at one point. But otherwise, yeah. Everything beyond that, though, for sure, that was all you. If Kei-chan hadn't done something so insensitive, Shion wouldn't have cried. Shion cried and talked to me about it. That reminded me of Satoshi-kun. I became jealous of her for having someone she loved so close to her. It was a very small jealousy. But that little feeling woke up the demon who was sleeping deep inside of me. After that, I just let the demon take over. The demon ate up all the sadness from my loss of Satoshi-kun and filled my heart with the notion of revenge, even though I knew that wouldn't make Satoshi-kun happy. Then, the scary incidents that followed dragged me to hell, from whence there was no escape.
そんな嘘だろ。
自覚がないのは当然。でも紛れもなく元凶なのはケイちゃん。あの時あんたがさりげなく人形を私にあげていたら、多分こんなことにはならなかったと思う。
Was I simply transferring the blame to Keiichi? Such a tiny thing woke up the demon inside of me. The demon would have woken up eventually. I was at fault. I didn't fight back. I let the demon live in my soul, and I let the demon possess me. Keiji didn't hide his tears. They were pouring down its cheeks. Maybe he was crying in my place, since I'd become a demon and couldn't cry of my own will.
じゃあそろそろいい？このやり方はね、とてもシンプル。左手の小指の先端の節に釘を打つ。順に親指まで打ったらまた小指に戻って、今度は真ん中の節に釘を打つ。この調子で15本の釘で左手を打ちつける。それが終わったら次は右手。それが終わったら次は、指先ってたくさんの神経が集まってるから、ケイちゃんが想像するよりもはるかに痛いよ。両手30本を打ち終える前に失神しちゃう人もいるそうだから。
I put a nail to Keiichi's left pinky. Once I hit it with the huge hammer, it would start. And it would be over.
他の人を相手にする時には何のためらいもなかったけど、なぜかあんたにはためらいがあるよ。
それでミオンの鬼が収まるなら気の済むようにやってくれ。
I didn't understand what he just said, so I tried to repeat his words in my head.
あんた本気で言ってるの？
俺が傷つけたミオンの痛みに比べればこんなの大したことないんだろう。気の済むようにするといい。その代わり2つ約束しろ。俺を気が済むまで痛めつけたらシオンは許してやれ。細工殿に忍び込んだ罪にはそれで十分見合う仕打ちをしたはずだ。
あんたこの後に及んで自分よりシオンの心配ができるわけ？
I am Mion Sonozaki. So why are my eyes growing so damp when hearing Keiichi show concern for Shion?
もう一つは気が済んだらもうお前は消えろ。その体をミオンに返してやってくれ。それだけだ。
あんたって人には命乞いをするとかそういう考えは思い浮かばないの？
約束2つじゃなくて3つ目は俺を殺すなにしてくれ。
最初に2つって言ったでしょ。だからもうダメ。
そいつは残念。
Even in this situation, Keiichi and I joked around and laughed. Then I knew. I knew why Shion fell in love with him. He's different from Satoshi-kun, but he's a good guy.
多分私は約束を守らないよ。鬼だから。
その時は仕方がないさ。
Keiichi smiled and then closed his eyes.
ケイちゃん、今の3つ目の願いだけは聞いてもいいよ。1つ目の願い、シオンを救うこと。これはもう無理。シオンは鬼が殺してしまう。それはもう決められたことだから止められない。だから諦めて。
I stroked Keiichi's chin.
そして2つ目の願い、この体をミオンに返すこと。これももう無理。今日を境にミオンが戻ってくることはもうない。今日以降、もし私の姿があったとしても、私の姿をした鬼だから。
そんなことはない。ミオンはミオンだ。もう戻ってこないなんて悲しいことを言うな。
聞こえる？あの音。
I've been hearing a noise. I knew what it had to be. Here comes Ushi. A dull sound was repeating in a regular rhythm. It was accompanied by a light tremor. People were trying to force open the iron door to the underground storehouse.
帰りが遅いからレナが大石を呼んだんでしょ。あのぼやっとした感じの子がこんなに頭が回るのだけは計算外だったな。
それについては同感だよ。
Really? I wonder how much Kei-chan really knows about Reina. Reina Ryugu. I won this time. Reina couldn't figure out who I was until the end. Or maybe she did. Reina didn't seem confused about whether I was Mion or Shion. Perhaps Reina could tell Mion and Shion apart through her sense of smell. She was good at that kind of thing. No way. I'm overestimating her. I really wouldn't assume that, because, I mean, for all I know, given everything else I know about Reina, she probably does have a really good sense of smell. Like a Doberman. I brought my stun gun so Keiichi could see the sparks.
見たことないでしょ。本物のスタンガンだよ。かなり出力が上げられるようになってるけどね。
さっき俺に食らわせたのはそれか。子供のおもちゃには向かねえぞ。
そうだね。
Bang. They must have broken the first door. The path was complicated, but there was no other door except for the one to this torture room.
殺さないけど、しばらくケイちゃんにはお休みしててもらうね。すぐに大石が来てくれるから。ちょっとの我慢。
Keiichi bit down and smiled bitterly. I paused, hesitating a little. Keiichi opened his eyes to see what was wrong.
ごめんね。ミオンを怪我して。
ここに入る前に約束した。何があっても俺の中のミオンは変わらない。
でも忘れて。今日以降、もしも私を見かけても近寄らないでね。それは私の屍に取り付いた鬼なんだから。
Psst. Keiichi fell unconscious. I locked a door to the torture room. I locked a door to the huge cave, too. That should give me some time.
シオン、さあ出ておいで。
I opened the cell and told Shion to leave it. She was crying.
あんたがケイちゃんを見逃してほしいと祈ったから、お姉はちゃんと約束を守ったよ。ケイちゃんはスタンガンで伸びてるだけ。もうすぐ警官隊が来るから解放されるよ。ありがとう、ありがとう。でもシオンにはまだ用がある。ここから脱出するの。
I took Shion to the cell of the hidden passage.
その前にシオン、あんたにミオンを返すわ。脱げ、その服。交換だよ、また。ほら、紙のゴムバンド。
Shion had no idea what was going on, but she changed her clothes as I ordered her to. I gave her the flashlight, and she hung it around her neck.
あんたから先にどうぞ。井戸の底にあるとかいう隠し通路を探すの。
The light from the flashlight wasn't enough to entirely illuminate the way down. Nobody in their right mind would want to descend that well. But Shion obeyed and timidly climbed down the ladder. When she had passed entirely below the rim of the well, I brought my stun gun and put to Shion's head. Shion understood the meaning of that.
お姉ちゃん。あんたの望み通り、ケイちゃんは救った。代わりにあんたを殺してもいいってことだったもんね。お姉はちゃんと約束は守るよ。
Shion's hands and feet were clinging to a very unstable ladder, so there was no way she could protect herself. She was in a critical situation. She could always just grab your wrist and just pull you into the well.
ミオンの格好をしたあんたはここから落ちておだぶつ。私はシオンの格好だからね。ケイちゃんが被害者だと立証してくれるよ。私は岩牢の中で警官隊の助けを待つ。まあ指紋なんかでバレるだろうけどさ。その頃にはどこかへ身を隠してるってわけ。お姉もなかなかやるでしょ。 私を殺すとサトシの復讐になる。そこまで分かってるなら覚悟はいいよね。そこまで落ちてサトシ君に謝っといで。おね、この底にはね、サトシはいないよ。は？
And it's pretty much at this point in my original recording that I was also like, say what?
あんたら言わなかったっけ？ここに捨てられてるって。園崎家で殺されてればここに捨てられてると思う。そうは言った。この後に及んでややこしいことを言うね。
Well, basically, if he was killed by the Sonozaki family, then it was undoubtedly done somewhere else besides the main Sonozaki family household, and his body was dumped elsewhere as a result. So naturally, his body wouldn't be down this well, if that's indeed what happened. I have no idea, but, you know, I'm just speculating and, well, translating for you, Shion, what Mion is talking about.
もうちょっとわかりやすくお姉に言ってごらん。私もね、サトシのこと好きだったんだよ。そりゃそうだろうね。私が好きになるくらいだもん。だからサトシが消えた時、私も悲しくて悔しくていろいろとね調べたんだよ。それでバッチャにね、爪を絞め殺してやろうってくらいに。そしたらバッチャが次期当主にしか話さないよ、絶対に内緒だよって。
What she said was something hard to believe. The hag said to Shion, the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with the disappearance of Satoshi-kun. Shion couldn't understand, so she asked again. The Sonozaki family held a lot of influence in the underground world because of our dad's connections. In fact, they used such illegal measures during the dam conflict. Therefore, people just assumed the Sonozaki family had pulled the strings when the dam construction incident took place. Even the hag laughed meaningfully and said suspicious things, so everyone believed she was the mastermind. But it was all performance. It was a hoax by the Sonozaki family head. It was just a bluff. The family took credit for the incidents to make it look like they were pulling the strings. With the influence they already had, this bluff was very believable. Therefore, people thought of the Sonozaki family as one that had deep connections in the underworld, and that they were capable of producing any sort of conspiracy. People have believed that since the dam conflict. Oryo just smiled at things she had nothing to do with, as if she was pulling the strings. When the relatives saw that, they became fearful of Oryo's power. When the dam construction site manager was killed, Oryo smiled meaningfully. When the relatives saw that, they assumed Oryo was behind it. When the Hojo couple fell off the cliff. When the Furud couple died violently. When Satoshi-kun's aunt died and Satoshi-kun disappeared. The hag just smiled meaningfully. Everyone believed the Sonozaki family was behind all those incidents.
嘘だ！あの事件が園崎家が関わってないってわけ？そんなの信じると思う？
Frankly, I don't really fault Shion for her skepticism here, because even I am still, even right now, a bit skeptical about this too. Or at least a bit. I mean, I kind of have to be, just as far as I'm concerned, just so I can keep every possibility in mind as I'm trying to figure out the mystery to everything that's going on in the story. But assuming, for the sake of argument, that Uryu was telling Mion the truth about all this stuff, then this basically changes a lot on how I originally looked at the conspiracy surrounding Satoshi's death, and possibly every other single death that occurred throughout the past half decade as a result of the curse as well. Because if the Sonozaki family truly had nothing to do with any of these deaths, then that just begs the question: who the hell did? And, well, I'll be getting into who I think might be responsible later at the end of the video.
私はバッチャがね、嘘を言うとは思わないの。特にサトシの失踪については本当に知らないって言ったの。だってサトシとお姉の交際、バッチャは許したんだよ。爪を見事剥いで見せたから全部忘れるって言って。嘘だ嘘だ、出任せを言うな。じゃあ誰がサトシ君を消したの？誰が？それだけはわからない。でもね、その崎家じゃない、バッチャじゃない。あんただってタタリのシステムは知ってるでしょ。別にサトシ君を襲えとわざわざばあさんが指示しなくても気を利かす誰かが襲う、そういう仕掛けでしょうが。
Shion couldn't say anything in response. Even if the hag had forgiven him personally, as long as he was the object of the curse, the executioner would follow him forever.
バッチャはね、お社様のたたり、誰が起こしてるのかなって。だけど、誰もが村の中の誰かって信じてるのに、村の中にそんな人は存在しないの。
Meaning that our perpetrator is very good at covering their tracks.
存在しない？しないならなんで毎年たたりが起きるわけ？おかしいよね。でもいないの、いないんだって。フルでリカが私に首をかきむしる注射で襲いかかってきたってのは話したよね。それはどう説明するの？急須猫を噛むって状況じゃない。向こうから訪ねてきて催涙スプレーと注射器で襲いかかってきた。おそらく同じ注射で富武さんが殺されてるんだと思う。それはわからない。リカちゃんがそんなことするなんて信じられないよ。実際に見た私でも信じられないよ。あの死に方を見りゃね。
I don't think Shion and the hag are lying. And once again, I must stress that if they're not lying, then that just raises some very interesting questions. But once again, I must leave room for the possibility that somebody is lying. That would mean the hag wasn't in as much control as we thought she was, though. She didn't know anything about that scary drug, or if the Furud family was the one executing the curse. If the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with it, then who made the series of mysterious deaths possible? Was it just a coincidence that something happened 5 years in a row on the night of Watanagashi? I do not think so. That's impossible. A human must have made it happen. It was all decided somewhere the Sonozaki family wasn't aware of. The Kimiyoshi family didn't know anything. Kimiyoshi believed the Sonozaki family was behind it. Was it the Furud family? With Rika's behavior and the elderly people who believed in her so blindly, Did some kind of power exist around the Furude family that created the curse? Well, there certainly does seem to be a power of some sort, but I don't know if it's related to the curse exactly. No way. The Furude couple themselves were victims of it. How could a little girl like Rika possess a power stronger than that of the Sonozaki family? No way. It's just impossible. In other words, I had killed the heads of all the 3 families and was trying to bring an end to the whole thing, and as a result of a misunderstanding about the dark secret of Hinamizawa. Then what about my revenge? Did I kill all the wrong people? People who had nothing to do with Satoshi-kun's disappearance at all? Apparently, yes.
やるね、シオン。最後の最後で私の復讐劇をひっくり返そうってわけ。
Again, assuming that nobody is lying here about what's being told to you, then your whole revenge quest has just been rendered completely meaningless
お姉ちゃん、
before it even happened.
信じて。私は敵なんかじゃない。信じてよ。お姉ちゃん。
Shion begged with tears in her eyes. That would have affected me if I was still Shion's sister. But I don't feel anything anymore. Because I'm a demon. You keep telling yourself that. I'll be done once I kill Shion. I've already decided that. If I don't finish it up, what would my existence be for? What about the life I devoted to revenge for Satoshi-kun? How dare she tell me all this nonsense to confuse me at the very end? If what she said was the truth, then what I'd done wasn't revenge. It was just the curse of the 5th year.
シオン。
I do wonder about that.
あんたが本当に無実なら、あんたは天国へ行けるね。サトシ君に謝っておいて。おね。
A bluish-white spark lit up in the darkness, and Shion disappeared into the well.
天国でサトシ君に謝って。私は天国には行けないから謝れない。
Instead, I'm going deep into hell. Jumping into this well will be too simple an atonement for what I've done. Until I find a perfect way to end my life, I'm going to live as best I can. New tips unlocked. Notebook page 199. Okay, we're going to go and look over this tip, and I'm going to go ahead and continue onward, because there's not much left. Shion Sonozaki's last confession is dubious. Did the hag convince her that the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with it? Or is that the truth? In my own investigations so far, I've proven there are aspects of the curse which can't be explained by the Sonozaki family alone. So, my notes were all bogus from the beginning. These 200 pages are full of bullshit. I thought of burning this notebook, but I won't do it. This notebook proves my guilt. I won't distort the facts. I won't burn it. After all, my life was only a notebook long. I wonder if anybody will read this. If somebody does, please let them learn something from my stupidity. a series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, dubbed Orishiro-sama's curse. If you're reading this, please find the truth. That's my only wish. June 1983. Mion Sonozaki. Well, if it's any consolation, Shion, I think I might be pretty close to the truth indeed. There's just still a number of mysteries I need to solve. June 1983. There has been a series of disappearances in Hinamizawa Village, Shishiboni City, Double X Prefecture. The suspect is Mion Sonozaki, 1X years old. Allegedly, she abducted 5 Hinamizawan residents: Uryu Sonozaki, Shion Sonozaki, Kiichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Furude, and Satoko Hojo, and imprisoned them from June 19th through the 21st. Preliminary investigations on the incident were delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence, but by chance, the case was solved rather abruptly. On the morning of the 22nd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as an emergency measure. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister, Shion Sonozaki, and her 2 missing classmates, Keiichi Maebara and Reina Ryugu. The suspect fled the scene. We found hair, pieces of skin, and blood of the 4 missing people in the torture room that was discovered in the basement of the outbuilding on the Sonozaki family property. Supposedly, that's where they were killed. We concluded that the victims were tortured in that torture room. However, the remains have not been found. According to one of her imprisoned classmates' advice, the bodies should be somewhere in the basement of the outbuilding, where the torture took place. However, nothing has been uncovered as of yet, including the escape routes the suspect took. In addition, investigations continue regarding any possible connection to the series of mysterious deaths in recent years. But no evidence that Mion Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. There are still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incident, and as those of the Sonozaki family and the residents of Hinamizawa have been extremely uncooperative in assisting us, we expect to require a long time to clarify them. The opinion of a local officer knowledgeable about the region is that this may have been a lynching, an internal form of punishing sacrilegious acts carried out against the beliefs of Hinamizawa village. It is clear that these incidents are particularly rooted in this region, and the prefectural police department has ordered a cautious investigation. We anticipated getting valuable clues from the missing person believed to have been imprisoned for the longest time, Shion Sonozaki, the suspect's younger sister. However, the incident has left such serious mental after effects that she has not been in a state of mind to properly answer any questions about what she knows. The psychiatrist concluded that she is in a temporary state of shock, but as of today, she is yet to show any improvement. I was acting at first. It was just an act to avoid being interrogated by the police. As it turns out, though, fake insanity can become real. You see, I couldn't bear it any longer. I continued to be haunted by the presence Reina Ryugu had talked about. It was so close that it could almost touch my back. It wasn't Satoshi-kun, and it wasn't a hallucination.
'It had become Shion's ghost.
「It had become Shion's ghost. 」
「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 "」 「」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "」 "" 'T"
I was acting at first. It was just an act to avoid being interrogated by the police. As it turns out, though, fake insanity can become real. Shion didn't go to heaven after all. She was always by my side instead. Shion didn't like the fact that I was still alive when she wasn't. So, she had decided to haunt me until she witnessed my death. Every night, she whispered to me, telling me to die. I get it. I get it! I shouted at the Shion in my back. Through my mouth, she shouted back at me. It must look odd to other people. They'd think I was arguing with myself. It's not fair. Why are you still living, sis? Die, die, die already! You said you'd die right after you killed me. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It's so dark and cold in this well. It's cold. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. I get it. I get it! Shut up! What exactly do you think, sis? You won't die in the way you want to. You're just running away. You're trying to survive, even after you did all those horrible things. You'll never be forgiven. You're cursed. You're cursed! You're destined to die!
やかましいよ、シオン。亡霊のくせに、やかましい、やかましい。おねえ、おねえ。クソったれが。消え失せやがれ。ミオンはずるい、ミオンだけずるい。姉妹はいつも一緒、死んでも一緒。だからミオンほら、迎えに来たんだよ。ミオン。
Bang, 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 bang! Shion banged on the door. That noise is too loud. It's cracking my ears and my head open. Shion's trying to break in. Ah, shit. Alright, Shion, I get it! The perfect way for me to die is to be cursed to death by you, isn't it? But I won't be going so easily. Ha! I won't simply disappear. It wouldn't be fair if your beloved was left alive after all. So much for keeping your promise to keep Keiichi alive. I went out onto the balcony to avoid Shion, who was on the other side of the door. If I jump over the railing to the neighboring apartment, I could reach the fire escape. Eat shit, Shion! I leaned over the railing and jumped onto the balcony next door. Then I rushed down the stairs, noiseless as a cat. Shion was too stupid to realize that I escaped. It wouldn't take too long to get to Keiichi's house on a motorcycle. Shion must believe that I'm still in that room. She's so stupid. Soon enough, I could see the Maibara mansion. I'd never seen it before, but I heard a great deal about it from Shion. She told me that Keiichi's room is on the 2nd floor. I should wake him up. Throw a stone. I threw a couple of stones at the window, and shortly thereafter, the light turned on and the window opened. I saw Keiichi there. The moment I saw him, my madness cooled off for a while. And it's pretty much at this point where I was forced to acknowledge that my theory that Keiichi stabbed himself in a fit of madness at this point in Chapter 2 was completely bogus. Because, as it turns out, Shion was actually there after all, and she did the deed. Even from here, I could tell Akechi was running down the stairs. He showed up quickly, with a doll in his hand. I felt depressed to see it. It was a doll he failed to give to Shion. It isn't fair after all, Shion. I'm so jealous, Kei-chan. I want to receive a doll from Satoshi-kun too.
Mio!
お久しぶり。どう？元気にしてた？
Despite the burning insanity within me, I spoke to him calmly. It's true. My body is controlled by the demon now. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here this late.
お前、こんなところをうろついてて大丈夫なのか？
本当はいけないよ。
それより、どうしたんだよ。こんな時間に。
最後にお話ししたかったから。
I feel horribly sleepy. Maybe it's sort of like fainting due to blood loss. That sensation is proof that the insanity is swallowing me.
私ね。もうここにはいられない。
大丈夫か？どこか具合でも。
今日まで頑張ってきたけど自分でわかるのもうダメ。もう限界。私のお迎えはもうすぐ後ろまで来てる。
I won't get to decide how I die. Shion won't allow me to. No wonder. I dropped her down the well. It wasn't only her. None of the people I killed chose to die how they did. Considering that, debating how I'll die must seem a luxurious concern to the dead.
Daijoubu 大丈夫かよ。もう無理するな。あ、そうだ。俺、ミオに。
Prepare thy abdomen, boy. Kill him, kill him, kill him. I'll avenge Satoshi-kun's death. I'll avenge his death. This guy's Shion's beloved. I hate her. I'll kill him and teach her a lesson. Eat this, she... While gravity's pulse spun around me, I realized I had stabbed him with a knife. I made it! I made it! I made it before Shion killed me! I got back at her! Take that, Shion! Keiichi rolled on the ground, clutching his stomach.
できた！全部できた！私が殺したやつはこれで全員
Yeah! I did it! I did it! I avenged your death, Satoshi-kun. Don't you love me for it? Will you stroke my head? This is my second take, and my insane laughing still sounds like shit. Yes, this was all a bad dream. After all, I was just in my room like always, suffering from nightmares of Shion. But where was I now? I had been standing on my apartment's fire escape alone. And here is where I feel I've got confirmation of memory loss. Just like Keiichi, I could still recall that dream. Yes, I had stepped out onto the veranda. My front door was still locked, so I had to climb through the veranda again. Whoa! My foot had slipped, and then I felt a floating sensation. After that, a sharp, indescribable pain ran through my head. That incredible pain finally cleared the fog away from my nightmare. I just slipped from the fire escape as I tried to return to my balcony, and fell onto the roof jutting out from the elevator hall, 2 or 3 floors down. My room is on the 8th floor. I wasn't expecting to be caught up here. When I fell, my head landed right on the concrete corner, and I could feel both enormous pain and the warm blood dripping out. I felt strangely calm. I couldn't sense the demon, Shion's ghost, or my grudge. I felt just like a baby. The nothingness brought me peace. Probably as a result of a very serious concussion. Your brain is probably mush, at least in part now. All my memories from when I was born and named Mion, up until today, came to my mind. I recalled memories of the time I'd spent with Satoshi-kun. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Where did I go wrong? When in my life did I make the wrong choice? I do know just where and when that was, because Satoshi-kun reminded me. I'll leave Satoko to you. Sure. I believe you'll return. I'll be waiting for you. I'll take care of Satoko. I'll wait for you with her. We'll be good girls. You left your precious sister to me, and nobody else. I guess I didn't get the significance of what you said. You think? But I'll be fine this time. I love you, Satoshi-kun. Satoko. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Everybody. Shion. I'm really sorry. Could I repay everything with my death? No way, right? That's not how it should be done. I want Satoshi-kun to stroke my head one more time. I wanted to hear him mumble one more time. I knew it was too much to ask. And so, I had no other regrets. That brought an end to my apologies. I rolled over, sending myself falling to the ground. Head first. I hoped my head would crack open, to take me to the hell I deserved. I was just a demon. I belonged in hell. Why was I born? Why did this world give birth to me? I shouldn't have been born. I wouldn't have had to suffer if I hadn't been. What was the meaning of my meaningless life? If I wasn't born, nobody would have had to suffer. Thank you for treating me kindly, even though I was like this. Thank you for teaching me love, even though I was like this. Even though I was like this. Even though. I'm really sorry, everybody. I really am. I'm sorry. If Satoshi-kun could give me another chance, I wouldn't make the same mistake again. Considering my time loop theory, I really wouldn't be surprised at all if this isn't exactly the first time a loop like this has occurred. So, unfortunately, if I'm right, then this promise has kind of been rendered moot. Possibly long ago. Forgive me for raining on your parade here, but never again. Here comes the ground. Bye. I love you. Huh?
今日までの出来事がすべて夢だったらいいのになって何度も思った。だから書いてみた。書いて夢になると信じて。ほら、よく漫画の中にあるじゃない？私の目の前に食べきれないほどのお菓子が積み上げてあって、それに手を伸ばし、まさに食らいつこうというところで、無粋に起こされて目を覚ますの。それはとてつもなく長い夢で、私は1年以上も眠っていたことになる。そう、私は監督の野球チームの試合の後、有頂天に駆け出して赤信号の横断歩道に踊り出してバイクにはねられてしまった。それでずっと1年以上も意識が戻らなくて、ようやく目が覚めるの。まぶたを開けたとき、そこには病院の天井が飛び込んでくる。それからずっと看病しててくれたサトシくんが覗き込んでくれてさすがにこれはできすぎか。でもいいよね。そういうことにしてもいいよね。生まれてきてごめんなさい。
All I can really say is what an absolute tragedy that this whole freaking chapter has been. A completely avoidable one to boot. I think that's the saddest part of all of this, is that this all could have been avoided. Anyway, if you want to read these here, that all the stuff is scrolling around, go right ahead. I don't feel like it this time, but I will bring attention to some stuff that I find pretty interesting. Once I go into detail on my big theories here, because the information that I read here, especially towards the bottom, ties into some of my theories. So I would recommend paying close attention to what's being written here, so you guys can have a better understanding of what I'll be getting to once I start talking about all that stuff. Specifically, I want you to pay attention to every name below Kgs, and when they were and the exact year in which they were last accounted for. Notice anything interesting? They were all last accounted for in the early to mid 2000s. Well after the Great Hinamizawa disaster was supposed to have taken place, like in Chapter 3, and what I'm assuming to be Chapter 1 as well. Even though we didn't really get to live long enough to see anything like that happen. And then here we have Kgs Deaths listed as a result of acute heart failure. So I think I might have misremembered his cause of death as being due to a fever in Chapter 3. But either way, he seemed to have died from something that seemed unnatural for him. But yeah, this isn't exactly the most important detail about this information that I've noticed. It's more so how it fits into my now current theories. So once again, just keep this all in a footnote in the back of your minds. Once I get through credits here, and then everything else that'll follow right after it, because there's still a few more stuff we have to go through.
よっしゃー、お昼だお昼。そらレナ、机をくっつけろ。
今日はレナのお弁当はミートボールなんだよ。
おお、そりゃいいね。おじさんもぜひいただくよ。ほらリカちゃん、机。
くっつけるのですよ。ペター。残念なことにミートボールは私も大好物でございましたよ。皆さんに一口でも口に入るとは思わないことでしたよ。
残念。そうはいかないです、さとこ。
It's pretty much at this point that I assume that what I'm seeing here is a dying dream that maybe Shion was experiencing as she was dying. No proof of that, of course, just an assumption.
明らかに野菜不足のさとこには特別にかぼちゃ弁当を用意させてもらいました。
Because in my mind, it kind of fits in with everything that she spoke to herself about right as she was falling to her death. Her realization, her realizing her big mistake earlier on a year ago in her life, and desire to do things differently.
うわ、そりゃいじめだぞシオン。
うわあ、かぼちゃは嫌ですの。
ほら、そのかぼちゃ嫌いはダメです。
And it's at this point where I also express my pride in the fact that Shion does not respond to Satoko's crying with chair. So, good girl, Shion. I'm proud of you.
かぼちゃはですね、栄養価にとても優れているんです。育ち盛りのさとこは特に栄養に気を使わないといけないんですよ。私の目の黒いうちは変色は認めないので、その覚悟でお願いします。 ほらみんなもどうぞどうぞ。ホコホコのかぼちゃって甘くて美味しいんですよ。
もにゅもにゅ。さとこ、これなら甘くて美味しいのですよ。
お、確かにこりゃいけるな。かぼちゃの甘みが嫌味なく、それでいて絶妙で。さとこ、お前は食うな、もったいない。
なんですって？かぼちゃは嫌いですけど、言い方が気に入りませんわ。
そら言った言った。一口にガバッと言ってみなよ。
ほらね、美味しいでしょ？まあ食べれなくもないですわね。
当たり前です。さとこがかぼちゃ嫌いを克服できるように日夜研究してますので。さて、この調子で今年中にナス、ピーマン、アスパラガスと制覇していきましょう。
冗談はごめんですわ。私が沖宮の学校に転校しましてよ。
But green peppers are good though, Satoko.
ダメです。サトシ君から頼まれている以上、健康管理は私の担当です。不節制も許しませんから、そのつもりで。
シオンさん嫌い。かぼちゃ嫌。
The scenario jump mode has been unlocked. This game features a scenario jump mode. You may replay any scenario you've completed before from the start menu on the main title screen. The tips reading room has been unlocked. You can now read the tips you have obtained so far. To view them, select Extra on the title menu, then pick the Read All Tips option. The staff room has been unlocked. This is a thank you message for purchasing the game. To go there, select Extra on the title menu, then pick the Staff Room option. And new tips unlocked: A Happy Diary and Disowned. This is pretty much what I meant when I said that there is still some stuff left that we'll have to go through before I go into my theories at length. Yeah, this is my second time viewing this ending, but I still feel just as depressed about it as I did the first time. Because again, this was all in hindsight a very avoidable tragedy that, well, wasn't avoided. And a whole lot of pain and suffering ensued as a result. And by the time that our perpetrator realized how big of a fuck up she's made, it was well too late by that point. At several points, frankly. Because, I mean, she had her first big revelation when she realized what Satoshi wanted her to do when she was basically torturing Satoko to death, but decided, well, I've come too far, so let's keep going, bitches! And proceeded to do just that. But right at the very end, right as she died, funnily enough, she seemed to really stop and think about how bad she screwed up. But by that point, again, I think it was too little, too late. But anyway, tips. We gotta go through our tips. A Happy Diary.
ええ、葛西氏が踏み込んだ時には室内は無人でベランダへの窓が開きっぱなし。その時が飛び降り時刻です。それでその真下の5階エレベーターフロアの屋根に一度落ちて脳震盪。そのしばらく後に横に転がって再落下、死亡。葛西氏が飛び降りを疑って地上を調べた時に 遺体が見つからなかったのはこの時点ではエレベーターフロアの屋根の上で混沌中だったからです。前原圭一が刺されたのはほぼ同じ頃。その頃には園崎紫音はすでに飛び降りていて、屋根の上で脳震盪中？
Apparently not. Apparently she wasn't a hallucination like I thought she was, and she actually did go all the way to Keiichi's house to stab him, and then right back before anyone noticed anything.
違いますね。ベランダから抜け出して前原圭一を刺して、ベランダへまた戻るときに誤って落下じゃないかな。
You and I are of one mind, Oishi.
悪いけど周辺の部屋のベランダとかも調べ直してください。
おいさん、3番にお電話です。
はいはい、どちら様から？
佐藤と伝えればわかるとか、合言葉は論と言えと。
なもしもし。ああ、佐藤さんです。こっちへ電話ということはいい知らせでしょうね。
An informant got in contact with me, and you were right after all.
ありがとうございます。今度フラワーロードで一杯おごりますよ。
なんです今の電話？麻雀の誘いですか？
ビンゴ。園崎姉妹は逆なんです。ミオンがシオンでシオンがミオン。入れ墨入れる時に間違って逆にやっちゃって取り返しがつかなくなったらしい。だからこのノートのミオンとシオンは逆に読むんです。それでならサトシ君とシオンさん、いやミオンさん、ややこしいなの関係が理解できる。
ノートって先日の大石さん宛てと書かれて郵便ポストに投函されてたっていう買ノートのことですか？中身はめちゃくちゃで捜査撹乱の恐れありって言いませんでしたっけ？
もちろん名前の入れ替えが分かったところで撹乱の域を出ませんがね。このノートどこまで信じていいのやら。もし本当なら古出理香の死のあたりが怪しすぎるからな。
異常者の日記ですよ。読んでるとこっちまで変になりそうです。最後のページの生まれてきてごめんなさいなんて読んでるとこっちまで飛び降りたくなりますよ。
でも幸せな日記じゃないですか。
幸せですか？
この日記だけでサトシ君って名前何回くらい出てくると思います？シオンさんは本当にサトシ君のことが好きだったんだなって。
Yeah, but not all those mentions of Satoshi's name in the notebook are exactly over in a happy context, you know. So I wouldn't say it's entirely happy.
その好きというのがね、若さゆえの勘違いでずれちゃって。
And finally, we have disowned.
ねえ、教えてよ母さん。鬼ババとどういう喧嘩をしたわけ？
It's at this point where I express gratitude. Well, maybe, I'm not sure if gratitude is the right word, but well, at the very least, I'm pleased to see that we actually get to see Shion and Mion's mother for the first time, even though it's literally at the very end of this chapter. Like, I've always been curious what she looked like along with their father, so we got one parent out of the way. Maybe we'll see the other eventually.
感動されるなんてよっぽどだったわけでしょ？
お前もくだらないことに興味が尽きないね。ま、そろそろ話してもわからない年じゃないか。実はね、父さんと結婚したいって言ったらね。
何それ？
私も当時はだいぶ社内着方してて呆れられててね。その挙句 連れてきた男が人気者だったわけでしょ。そりゃ大喧嘩よ。
And yet, years later, she is more than happy to take advantage of said Yakuza's connections to the criminal underworld to benefit her own operations. Isn't life just hilariously ironic?
いい名付けは当主が決めるなんて言われて、そんなの知ったこっかい、こんなクソババア、この場で切り伏せたらって大立ち回りよ。互いに板の間の日本刀抜いてちゃんちゃんバラバラ。
鬼ババと盾を演じたわけ?
It must have been a very epic showdown of ultimate destiny, I can say that much. But seriously, goddamn, having a sword fight with your own rebellious probably teenage child, I'm assuming. Or young adult, at least. It's just like, I mean, I can understand objecting to your own kid, basically going out with a criminal, but that seems a bit extreme, don't you think?
母さんやるね。
まあね、母さんこう見えても若い頃は武闘派だし、互いに剣道有段だからそりゃド派手だったわよ。
And apparently the old woman is skilled in kendo.
周りはおろおろ。面白かった。
なるほどね。その騒ぎのせいで感動されたわけ？
そうよ。感動上等。遠慮なく感動もらって父さんと籍を入れたわよ。
I bet neither of you have anything on Akita Momoko in terms of kendo skill, though.
ま、けじめってことで爪を剥がされたけどね。ほら、左手の爪だけいびつでしょ。うわ
あ、それで鬼ババと母さんはずっと仲が悪いわけだね。
シオン、本当はね、私と鬼ババ様はちゃんと仲がいいんだよ。
嘘だ。
鬼ババ様には面倒な世間体があるからね。一度でも感動した以上甘くすると示しがつかないし、だから私も親類会議とかではおとなしく引っ込んでるけど、たまに遊びに行ってのんびりお茶とか飲んでるよ。
It does kind of match up with information that I remember reading about in the tips and the question arcs. Because, I mean, after all, if the disownment was such a big incident within the Sonozaki family, it'd be kind of strange for someone like Uryu to maintain any kind of ongoing relationship with, the disowned child in question. At least that's what I think. So I wasn't exactly surprised to learn that indeed they do have a decent relationship behind the scenes. Just not in public, in front of everyone else. And well, it also kind of matches up with what Mion revealed to Shion at the very end of this chapter in regards to how Uryu essentially took credit for a lot of the, for pretty much, apparently, all the deaths that occurred as a result of the Urashiro-sama curse. Basically, apparently, Uryu is, at least in part, a slave to PR when it comes to the Sonozaki family. Which is both interesting and kind of amusing all at once.
嘘だ。信じらんないね。
実はね、内緒よ。鬼ババ様もね、その昔けじめで爪を剥いだことあるんだってよ。
And I also gotta say, I'm at least pleased to hear that she holds herself to the same standards when it comes to the fingernail thing, at least.
今度会ったら左手の爪をよく見てごらん。
鬼ババは何をやったわけ？
そうね。母さんは知らない。
まあ、その顔は知ってるな。教えてよ。
If I had to guess what this atonement thing could be for, I would speculate that it's not killing you when you and Mion, your twin, were born. Maybe that's what the atonement thing is for. I'm just guessing. I have no proof, but I mean, it wouldn't really surprise me if that might be it. Otherwise, well, I have no fucking clue what it could be. Okay, one last thing. The staff room. Then we can get to my theories. Do you think that murder can be justified, depending on the motive? Yes, I do. Self-defense, to me, immediately jumps to mind. Like if someone is trying to kill you and you have even a fraction of care for self-preservation, then, well, if it requires you to kill the other person in order to survive, then I would say that would be justified self-defense. Any other context beyond that, though? Well, not really. It would just be straight up murder by that, murder/manslaughter at that point. And frankly, that's not okay, no matter what the reason. Hi, this is Ryu Kishi07. Thank you for playing Higurashi When They Cry Kai, Chapter 5, Miikashi. Although I depict many deaths in my work, I often ask myself a question. That question is there such a thing as justifiable murder? In our world, murder is prosecuted, and a degree of punishment varies depending on the motive and circumstances. It also depends on the region that you're being prosecuted in, too, because, you know, every region has its own ways of handling such things. Having different degrees of punishment means that we are putting a value on the dead person's life. Essentially, yeah, can't disagree with you. Some scenes justify murder in Higurashi. By degrading the life of the victim in those scenes, the player can sympathize with the characters more easily. Like, Satoko's uncle? The degree of sympathy would be different from person to person. The people who could sympathize probably felt catharsis, and the people who disagreed with the character might have felt uncomfortable. I think uncomfortable is certainly the strongest emotion I felt throughout this whole chapter, frankly. So you're right about that. That's indicated by how opinions were polarized regarding Keiichi's actions and Tatarigoroshi. In Miikashi, there are also a number of murders. But this time, the main character, Shion, tries to earn sympathy for each one of them. How did you feel? Very uncomfortable? Were you able to sympathize with her? Not very much, especially as the bodies continue to pile up, and her reasoning for each one got flimsier and flimsier. If you couldn't sympathize with her at all, then please berate her as a crazy murderer. I was able to sympathize with her a bit, and I'll still berate her as a crazy murderer. If you sympathize with her at all, then please have mercy on her. If you sympathize with her almost entirely, then please have mercy on her. If you completely sympathize with her, then please let us berate both of you as crazy murderers. What about me? Well, that's a secret. I'd like to reverse my question this time. What kind of murderer could you sympathize with if you were to be killed? Well, I'll reverse my initial answer. Basically, if I'm the crazy heart stabber that is aiming to stab someone's heart out or otherwise kill them in some brutal fashion, and I'm out of my goddamn mind, or I'm just plotting old-fashioned cold-blooded murder, well, I could sympathize with my would-be victim if they managed to turn the tables on me and kill me instead. Because as far as I'm concerned, by my own earlier logic, it'd be completely justified for them to kill me, and I really, in my rational mind, couldn't fault them for it. Any other instance, though, then, well... yeah, it depends, but... yeah, it depends. A murderer who doesn't care about people's lives? Well, couldn't sympathize with them at all, then. That'd be quite a regrettable death. It'd be extremely sad to be killed in denial of all your values. Wouldn't it? A murderer who begs for forgiveness in tears? That'd be quite regrettable, too. They shouldn't kill you at all if they're begging your forgiveness. Well, again, it depends. Maybe they're being forced into it. So what kind of murderer could you sympathize with? In the end, sympathy might be just a method for making the story more interesting. If you can sympathize, it's fun. If you can't sympathize, they're just crazy. We cannot put value on human life. But we can place fun on levels of sympathy. It's a sin to even try doing so. A murder is a murder. Nothing more than that. I just hope everybody can live happily together. How does that sound? Would you agree to that? It would be nice, but unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in. If you wouldn't. What would you do to me? I'm curious. Thank you very much for playing Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 5, Miyakishi. I can only bring out this 5th episode thanks to all of your support. Higurashi will only get more intense as it approaches the finale. Nothing would make me happier than if you continued reading the chapters to come. The next chapter will be titled Sumi Horoboshi. Really, I'm rather fortunate if you've enjoyed yourself even a little. I've enjoyed myself a lot, so I would consider you very fortunate then. Thank you again for playing. I hope this has brought a little color to your life. More like a little bit of gray, because this chapter really depresses me. 07th expansion, Ryukishi 07. Okay, so now that everything's pretty much out of the way, I'm pretty much willing to write off as Chapter 5 being well and truly over by this point. But before I bring this video to a close, I might as well, once again, go over my theories regarding what I think is actually going on in Hinamizawa now that I've gotten Chapter 5 out of the way and got some new information that I think might actually prove very beneficial, helping me figure out these mysteries. So... this is, as I said, this is the second time I've done all this, so all this speculating and this note reading I'm about to deliver to you guys is not going to be my first rodeo, so nothing's going to come off as fresh. So I'm still regretful that it's going to end up being that way, and it just feels and sounds like I'm just going through a checklist essentially of things, but I really want you guys to at least understand why I've come to the conclusions that I've come to. And where I'm basing all this stuff from. So before I discuss what my big theories are, I think I need to get one thing out of the way first and foremost. What I believe to be the nature of this pathogen that seems to be infecting the characters. And I'm still going with the idea that it's a pathogen instead of a curse because, well, I still have yet to see any hard evidence to suggest anything supernatural going on besides the time loop stuff and maybe possibly one instance of Shion and Tomotaki both happening to hear some strange thing together at the same time during their excursion into the ritual storehouse. But that's only a possible incident in my mind, because that by itself it's not exactly clear what that was, and that one little incident by itself is not exactly something I'm willing to concede as being proof that a curse is indeed taking effect on some of the characters. So with that little disclaimer out of the way, I think I'm going to go ahead and just read my notes to you regarding my observations on the behavior of this pathogen. So I came up with a lot of this stuff off camera. It's still very much a work in progress. I'm still trying to analyze every little detail I can think of that I can recall, and whatever's brought to my attention by you guys from time to time. But I think that whatever this pathogen is, it seems to manifest itself based on severe emotional distress that the victims experience at certain parts of the story. In Keiichi's respective cases, it's when he experiences intense fear for his personal safety, when he begins thinking he's being targeted by Hinamizawa for being an outsider, all the way back in Chapter 1. And then after that, it's Keiichi experiencing intense grief from the trauma he suffered at the climax of Chapter 2, after the killer had her way with him and Mion. And in Chapter 3, it's the intense distress and anger he felt when Satoko's abusive uncle made her break down right in front of him in school. His symptoms starts with feelings of disorientation, an obsession forming over the person or thing that triggered the intense emotional response to begin with, and then after that, an abnormal sense of flowing time and bits of memory loss affects him. Keiichi having blanks in his memory towards the end of Chapter 1 after he was chased by Reina and a group of thugs, and in Chapter 3, which I think he might have started his supposed murder of Satoko's uncle, being the prime examples of this. And the objects of obsessions themselves, of course, being the village itself in Chapter 1, the killer repeatedly coming after him in Chapter 2, although given what we've seen here at the finale, it looks like as though Shion did indeed visit him, and late at night, and it wasn't just Keiichi just imagining that Mion came to him at night to basically stab him. Although, right at the very end, I am pretty sure that the Mion he saw right before Chapter 2 ended was indeed a hallucination, so it kind of just goes right back to that point. And finally, his anger towards Satoko's uncle becoming homicidal, and a growing desire to help her return to a normal life being the object of obsession in Chapter 3. He also seems to suffer from physical symptoms, like fevers, which I thought he died from at the end of Chapter 3, right after the Great Hinamizawa disaster, but as I just saw, and as I just read here in this chapter, I think it was actually acute heart failure, and I just misremembered the symptom being the cause of death rather than, well, what the actual cause of death was. So, yeah, acute heart failure. Fever is just one symptom. And also there are what I suspect hallucinations brought on by his growing feelings of intense paranoia, which seem to typically manifest either in auditory form, that being footsteps, or a presence he constantly feels as watching and stalking him. Right now, I'm assuming that all these symptoms likely manifested for Satoshi and Reina as well, even though we have only seen a fraction of what Satoshi's symptoms were up till this point, and only have eyewitness accounts to go by in Reina's case, before she moved back to Hinamizawa. And I'm assuming it is also true that these symptoms began manifesting in these characters as soon as they found themselves experiencing severe emotional distress at some point in their lives. Satoshi's is easy to figure out due to his chaotic household. He felt intense distress towards his own personal safety, as well as Satoko's, meaning he had no sense of emotional security at home. So his curse/infection manifested into a homicidal desire to kill his abuser, that being his aunt, in order to protect himself and Satoko, as well as give Satoko a release from her daily torture, not unlike Keiichi wanted to in Chapter 3. Satoshi also seemed to feel he was being stalked by some unseen entity that likely had it out for him, also not unlike Keiichi, going by that one tip I saw in this chapter that showed him expressing such fears. I don't know for sure if he experienced any fevers, although given all the other stuff I've mentioned, it wouldn't surprise me if he was. For Reina, I think her symptoms probably manifested as a result of her fear of angering Orishiro-sama for leaving Hinamizawa, due to her own fervent belief in the deity and its powers. And this fear manifested itself as visions of Orishiro-sama itself stalking her constantly, giving her judgmental looks. All this eventually resulted in her having a mental breakdown at school, where she took a bat to every window she came across. Because if memory serves, Reina had mentioned seeing Orishiro-sama in nearly every reflective surface she came across. And since windows offer some reflection of their own, I think it's safe to assume she broke all those windows for just that reason. To keep Orishiro-sama from looking at her wherever she went. I will admit that a visual hallucination of the object of obsession is unique to Reina, one I never saw manifest with Keiichi or Satoshi. Shion appeared to come close to actually seeing some kind of vision of Satoshi whenever she was able to pick out his presence in crowds, but I will get more into Shion's case shortly. I also don't recall there ever being any mention of Reina suffering from any fevers around this time. But what I find most interesting about Reina's case is her apparent survival, because if she did suffer from the same ailment as Keiichi and Satoshi did, then I'm almost positive she had to suffer from severe fevers towards the end of her infection. Yet it apparently didn't kill her, like it does with Keiichi at the end of Chapter 3. With Satoshi missing, I have no way to confirm if he suffered from any severe fevers that may or may not have been fatal for him. So the only other samples, for lack of a better word, that I have left to work with in this particular aspect of the infection are the remaining victims. With how events have played out thus far across all 5 chapters I've currently experienced in Higurashi, I'm going to write off Keiichi's death via acute heart failure at the end of Chapter 3 as a symptom that's unique to him. At least until we see someone else suffer a similar fate in later arcs. If we ever do. And now, Tomitaki. He is always our first victim in every question arc, and he always seems to die in exactly the same way in each of them. He is seemingly cornered by a group of attackers, is chased throughout Hinamizawa, experiences a state of absolute panic due to said attack, and once this panic reaches its height, he seems to claw out his own throat, and then dies from the ensuing blood loss. I remember him expressing concern to Keiichi about him, and by extension the village, perceiving him in a negative light because he's an outsider. But whenever Keiichi pressed him on these topics, Tomitaki just ended up just playing the whole thing off. Which leads me to think that probably around this point, he might have been experiencing some symptoms of this thing, that he was possibly also infected around this point. But the thing about Tomitaki is I don't really know too much about him, besides what other people say about him and what little that Tomitaki has shared with Keiichi, in order to get an idea on, well, how exactly this guy ticks. Like, what he's like, what he's really like as a character, and what may or may not have been the one thing that could have triggered a massive sense of paranoia in him, thus sparking an infection. So, he is the biggest mystery to me as far as my list of cases are concerned. So, unfortunately, there's really not much else I can say about him other than what I've already said, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and move past him, and now on to our latest case study, Shion Sonozaki. As I mentioned previously, Shion appeared to come close to actually seeing some kind of vision of Satoshi whenever she was able to pick out his presence in crowds, or being by herself in her apartment. But I don't think it was ever spoken by her in such a way that indicated that she actually ever directly saw Satoshi head-on. More like she constantly sensed his presence, remaining just barely out of sight for Shion at all times. It's close, but not quite within the realm of straight-up visual confirmation, like in Reina's case was. Indeed, Shion's Satoshi behaved more so like the intimidating entities that Keiichi and Satoshi felt were stalking them, and also Reina, and I'm assuming maybe Tomitaki as well. But it never inspired a sense of fear in Shion like it did with any of these other characters. At least at the beginning. That all came to an end after her excursion into the sacred storehouse during the Watanagashi festival with Keiichi, Takano, and Toмотaki, when she experienced the sounds of repetitive loud banging noises that seemingly no one except Shion and Toмотaki herself could hear. And coupled with all the stuff that was discussed between all parties while they were exploring the building, Shion began to wonder if the Satoshi that she felt had been watching her is really Satoshi at all. From there, she began to treat the invisible entity that's been following her in a fearful manner, just like Keiichi and Satoshi did before her. And from there, a sense of paranoia began to manifest within her, which began to accelerate once she not only found out what happened to Takano and Toмотaki right after she parted ways from them, but was seemingly held, metaphorically, at gunpoint by Mion, her sister, as Mion told this information to Shion right to her face. All this emotional stimuli that Shion experienced within this short time span. Forgive me, I lost my place. All this emotional stimuli that Shion experienced within this short time span at this point made her symptoms begin to worsen at an alarming rate, turning her from someone who was only just beginning to experience the levels of suspicion and paranoia that Keiichi, Satoshi, and Reina felt, into someone who decided to channel the fear and persecution she felt into white-hot anger towards who she felt were both hers and Satoshi's tormentors. This newfound desire for justice then quickly began to manifest feelings of irrational hatred towards anyone she felt criticized Satoshi, and a violent sadism over the pain she began inflicting on her victims. While seeing a victim of this infection experience feelings of fear and anger are nothing new when looking at all the previous victims' cases, Shion is the only person I've seen so far who became violently sadistic to the degree I've seen in both Chapter 5 and, which I suppose I can now say retroactively, in Chapter 2. This little detail interests me because when I compare it with how this infection affected the other victims, I began to notice an additional pattern that I hadn't really noticed before until now. Or to be more accurate, I've begun to look at a pattern I've already noticed in a way I didn't consider until now. Whatever this pathogen, this infection is, it seems to target negative emotions and personality traits that were already present in the victims prior to their respective infections being triggered via an incident of severe emotional distress. In Shion's case, she already had trouble emphasizing with other people and tended to look after only herself in the long run, with the only other person besides Mion that she felt any genuine care for being Satoshi. But even then, her one-sided love for Satoshi was still tainted, for lack of a better word, by her inability to look past her own wants and desires and consider things from another person's perspective. Shion couldn't see that Satoshi had loved Satoko dearly, and that was why he put up with the trouble she brought him, and only saw Satoko as nothing but a burden and competition for Satoshi's affections, that Satoshi would have been happy to be rid of if someone came along and took Satoko out of his life. In reality, only Shion herself would have been happy with this development, and she would be left horribly confused if she saw Satoshi as an emotionally devastated wreck after Satoko vanished during the Watanagashi festival like she wished would happen. This is the best example I can come up with to show what I'm talking about when I mention negative emotions and personality traits that this infection targets in its victims. Because once Shion's symptoms began manifesting, they centered around her desire to live in a happy little world of her beloved Satoshi, only to go on a violent rampage once it became clear that this would never happen, and that her own life was possibly in danger due to her activities during the Watanagashi festival. She began rationalizing every form of torture, murder, and any other form of karmic retribution she could think of to deliver towards hers and Satoshi's supposed tormentors, as her seeking justice for Satoshi. All the while failing to consider what Satoshi actually wanted her to do in her situation, and that he would be terribly hurt by each of Shion's actions from that point onward. What I'm ultimately getting at is I think that this infection takes negative traits that seem to stem from feelings of suspicion, anger, and persecution, like what I've just pointed out here of Shion, and amplifies them until these feelings utterly consume the victim's thought processes, and they are ultimately driven insane by these rampant emotions. The hallucinations and other symptoms the victims experience seem to serve to amplify these negative emotions and fears even further, until it reaches a point where the victim's own internal fears and the physical symptoms they experience begin feeding into each other and creating a vicious cycle within the victim's minds, creating a kind of feedback loop. Their worst personality traits come to the surface as a result of their worsening infections, where they redirect their amplified feelings of fear and anger towards anyone who even looks at them funny, unconsciously looking for an excuse to attack anyone they feel is attacking them in some way that is meaningful to the victims. In the end, we are seemingly left with two outcomes. 1. The infection leaves their systems, and the victim gradually returns to normal, which appears to have happened with Reina. Or their physical condition deteriorates to such a degree that the infection ultimately kills them, as was definitely shown to be the case of Keiichi. Unless the victim dies through some other means first, either via suicide brought upon their symptoms reaching their peak, Tomitaki and Keiichi being are also the prime examples of this. This thing targets fear, whatever this pathogen is, and amplifies it until it grows wildly out of control, like a forest fire. So, keeping all this in mind, I then began to think to myself, say that this really is the nature of what this pathogen is, and I'm right on the money on all of this. How does this fit into the grand conspiracy that seems to be at work within Hinamizawa? So, I must have spent like a good 2 minutes thinking this stuff over, until I remembered what happened at the end of Chapter 3, where everybody was supposedly died from a volcanic gas explosion, and how off the whole thing seemed to me, especially once that chapter ended and I had time to pore over the facts. Something about the whole thing felt off to me, with Keiichi's apparent survival being the biggest indicator of this, that something wasn't right with the story that we were told. And that's when it hit me. This is going to be I just wanted to say this right off the bat here, and preface this by saying, this is without a doubt the single craziest theory I've come up with so far when it comes to what the hell is going on within Hinamizawa. Bar none, the craziest, most outlandish, over-the-top thing I could think of. And it scares me, because if I'm right about any of it, or hell, even all of it, then that just paints a really, really grim picture for everything I've seen up until now, and was likely going to continue happening until we reach the end of this ongoing tragedy. So, what if this virus, this pathogen, this parasite, whatever the hell this thing is, if it's not a curse, if it is a pathogen, what if the way this thing functions is part of the conspiracy? If you take how this thing seems to function, and then look over all the incidents, all the deaths of Orishiro-sama that have occurred over the past half decade, to me it starts to paint a very dark picture. What if the whole goal of this conspiracy is to get Hinamizawa to kill itself in a fit of mass panic brought on by this pathogen? So that's when I began thinking, yeah, this sounds really freaking crazy, Neo, but do you have anything to base that idea on? And well, That's when I thought about the nature of the Curse of Arashiyama that's been plaguing the village for the past half decade. The whole idea behind this curse is that for the past half decade, there seems to be a curse that targets perceived enemies of the village that always seems to go into effect after the Watanagashi festival each and every year. It started with the dam construction, with the dam foreman. And then, next year, after that, it started with Rika's parents, and then the year after that, Satoko's parents, and then the year after that, Satoshi's aunt, and then Satoshi himself, and then ultimately it leads up to the present time within the question arcs. Each and every single one of the victims who was either murdered during these incidents or were quote-unquote demoned away were perceived enemies of Hinamizawa as far as the populace of Hinamizawa was concerned, either because they played a direct role as the opposition party within the dam conflict, or that they happened to just be family members who were related to these people who were part of said opposition party. And then, well, actually, wait, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So, this continues to go on for years on end, and it establishes a pattern within the populace, within the minds of the populace of Hinamizawa, that there seems to be some divine punishment being inflicted upon these enemies. While it may instill a sense of peace, and instill a sense of peace and a feeling, and just make them feel like they're okay. I'm stumbling over my words. While this thing make them feel a sense of peace of themselves and help them feel like as though their cause was indeed just, and that the so-called enemies were getting their just desserts, it undoubtedly filled a lot of these people with a sense of dread. Not a big one, but big enough that there was indeed divine punishment being inflicted upon enemies of the village, and that if you do anything to earn the ire of the village's guardian deity, then, well, you're basically next on the chopping block. So it basically encouraged the villagers to just basically, well, go about their business and try not to do anything that they feel would anger Arashiyama in any way. That was the general idea behind this whole curse. Even though some of the leadership, that namely Uryu, has apparently been wanting to figure out what was actually behind this curse right from the get-go, and has been unable to find out. But then, come the present time in the question arcs, an utterly massive subversion of the curse takes place, which we witness at the end of Chapter 3. Rika Furud, the so-called reincarnation of Arashiyama, is apparently killed in a manner that's supposed to invoke the image of the Watanagashi festival as it originally as in its original form, according to Hinamizawa's ancient folklore. But her body was disposed of in such a way, that being in a trash bag that was dumped right in front of the Furud shrine, that was meant to evoke a feeling of spitefulness. Think about it. You had this curse going on for half a decade, and you are a resident of Hinamizawa, and you felt that as long as you weren't an enemy, of Arashiyama, you'd be basically in the gold, and you'd get to see, and you would basically be in the clear, and you would get to witness, maybe not directly, enemies of the village that went against it during the dam conflict get their just desserts each and every year, feeling good that divine retribution was taking place. Now, all of a sudden, the nature of the curse completely flips on its head, and it ends up targeting the most holy person within the village, the most holy person within the village, especially in the eyes of the elderly within the village. Rika Farud, the so-called reincarnation of Arashiyama. The curse had targeted someone who was most definitively within the minds of the Hinamizawa populace, not an enemy of Hinamizawa itself. What would your first thought be if you saw this happen? You'd be horribly confused, wouldn't you? Afraid even that this curse that had a very set pattern for half a decade had suddenly taken a seriously drastic change such as this. And so you might begin to think, if someone like Rika Farud isn't safe from this thing either, from this curse either, despite not being an enemy of, despite not being a perceived enemy of the village, then is anybody in Hinamizawa safe? Is everybody else potentially on the chopping block as well? Either by a divine entity, that being Hinamizawa, or by other humans who they believe are carrying out the will of Urashiro-sama, as some people seem to certainly suspect to be the case. You'd suddenly start looking at your neighbors in a very suspicious light if you believed in the latter, wouldn't you? Couple this with the great shock that you'd undoubtedly feel seeing Rika killed in such a brutal fashion. It would basically be like a giant emotional distress bomb for the populace of Hinamizawa. And from there, if the rest of the populace was also infected with this pathogen that some of the characters that we've seen have, it would awake within all of them simultaneously, and then from there, they would all go through the same exact symptoms I pointed out, until eventually their minds are consumed with rage and paranoia. And then they start going after each other. And maybe even themselves, too. And then before everybody knows it, the whole village dies. Which we see the end results of at the end of Chapter 3, when Keiichi finally wakes up after falling off that bridge. Very fucking crazy theory, I know. I'm still having trouble even now believing that something this outlandish could be happening, because I'm trying to think. Maybe there's something I'm overlooking here. Maybe I'm just blowing this whole thing wildly out of proportion, and that whatever this conspiracy is, within Hinamizawa, it's nowhere near that big. Because if I'm right, about any of this, then number one, that means that whatever this pathogen is, as I just basically more or less implied, if not outright stated, that means that it's very possible that this pathogen is probably infecting all of Hinamizawa, and has probably has been lying dormant for some time within them, just waiting for the right opportunity to awaken. That just raises the question: when and how did this pathogen get within the entire populace of Hinamizawa? And second, considering what we've seen play out at the end of Chapter 3, with the whole Japanese self-defense force rolling in, apparently telling the public that some kind of volcanic gas eruption seemed to have occurred around Onikafuchi's swamp, and the resulting gas that leaked out from the eruption is what ended up killing the entire village. Was this? If I'm right, then that would basically mean that entire story was a bunch of bullshit, a cover story that was likely fed to the media in order to help cover up the truth of what really happened. And once again, I must cite Keishi's apparent survival of this gas attack being the biggest piece of evidence to basically shatter that whole narrative. The only thing I can't really explain is how all the wildlife ended up dying around the entire area too. Because if there was no gas attack, then what the hell happened to all the insects and animals? Unless this pathogen is cross-species, and I have no idea what the hell happened to them. Maybe they were all killed after the fact by the Japanese Self-Defense Force during their cleanup act. But I have no idea. Bottom line is, if I'm right about any of this, and that the Japanese Self-Defense Force indeed had some idea of what really happened, but they've intentionally fed a cover story to the media at large in order to cover up what really happened, then this conspiracy is freaking huge. It goes all the way up to the freaking military of Japan's government. But yeah, I just remembered thinking how horrified I felt at this possibility of all the stuff I just laid out. Which is why I'm just fucking pissed even now that I ended up being a complete idiot and deleting the original recording of this episode. But to me, it just makes a twisted amount of sense once you put all this stuff together in this way. Rika's apparent fuck you death at the end of chapter 3, and how it just completely goes against how the curse acted up until that point, and how it could serve as a trigger for a mass pandemic within Hinamizawa. If the whole village is actually infected this thing and not just a few of the characters, It makes a twisted bit of sense to me, even though there's still a few mysteries I need to clear up. Namely, hold on. Come on, you piece of crap. Wake up. Sorry about that. My laptop and my notes went to sleep on me. Like I was saying, there's still some mysteries surrounding this whole thing I gotta clear up first before I can say with at least 99% certainty that I think that I'm completely on the money with all this stuff. Namely, who the hell do I think is the perpetrator behind all this? I think that's the biggest one. And I think I have like 1 or 2 suspects for that, actually. Now that I think about it. I'm going pretty much off the cuff at this point. I'm pretty much gone through all my notes. So, yeah. Everything that, I'm going to be talking about from this point onward, while technically not being fresh off my mind, because again, I did this before my original recording, there's not going to be any script to it, so there's a chance I'm going to go a little bit all over the place with some of this stuff, so just brace yourself. Anyway, I've been poring over every little memory from chapter 1 all the way up until this point that I could summon to the forefront of my mind in regards to trying to figure out who the hell could be perpetrating any of this, if any of these theories I've stated so far are in any way correct. And so far, there's only one person that comes to mind. Nurse Takano from Dr. Irie's clinic. She's been going around throughout all the question arcs, and even here in chapter 5, the first chapter of our answer arcs, telling dark and gruesome stories about Hinamizawa's dark past to several of the characters, using it eagerly. I might stress. I might add, just seemingly glee at the prospect of going into as much detail about this stuff as possible, and painting as dark a picture as possible to anybody who would inquire with her about this information. And secondly, if Keiichi did not hallucinate running into Takano during his supposed murder of Satoko's uncle, or at least the person he thought was Satoko's uncle, then we already know that she was up to something very suspect during that point in the story, during that night after or at the end of the Watanagashi festival. Namely, how she's likely had direct hand in Tomataki's death. The only thing I can't prove with absolute certainty is whether or not that incident actually happened. If I can do that, then I feel that Takano would be well deserving of the number 1 spot in regards to person who would definitely likely have a hand in orchestrating, or at least carrying out, this conspiracy that I think might be taking place within Hinamizawa. This plan to ultimately destroy the whole damn place, using the village's own beliefs of Urashiro-sama against it. I need to confirm just how much of what I've seen of Takano actually happened, especially in chapter 3. But I will also stress that this by itself is not proof of any wrongdoing of the sort that I'm possibly implicating her in. For all I know, she really does have a knack for dark and gruesome stories, torture methods, and the like, as she basically herself explained, and that for some reason she just simply wanted to kill Tomatake. Again, assuming that particular night in chapter 3 actually happened, the way Keiichi remembered it happening. But the only other suspects I can think of who may be involved in a conspiracy like the one I've just laid out might be more people from Irie's clinic. Because number 1, it's been pointed out ever since chapter 1 that Irie's clinic is especially very well equipped for a village as tiny and rural as Hinamizawa, which in itself is a very interesting little detail to point out. And number 2, Takano works at this clinic, last I checked. So if there is a pathogen at play, then perhaps Takano has a hand in any of it. Then I don't think it'd be out of the realm of possibility that she could be using some of the equipment at Irie's clinic to perhaps help carry out this grand conspiracy. Which then also begs the question: if I'm right about any of that, then does that implicate anybody else who works at Irie's clinic as being part of this conspiracy? Perhaps even the good old doc himself. I honestly don't know for sure. Irie's supposed suicide towards the end of chapter 3 is very, very suspect to me. Make no mistake about that. I refuse to believe that it isn't somehow connected to what's going on within Hinamizawa, especially towards the end. But I have no proof For all I know, he could have chosen to kill himself for some reason entirely unrelated to whatever conspiracy is at play in Hinamizawa. I don't know for sure. But I have a gut feeling that it just might be connected. I wish I had more to give other than that, but I refuse to believe that. I just refuse to believe that it's a coincidence. But even so, that does not necessarily equate to Irie himself being a malicious actor, like I suspect Takano to be. For all I know, maybe he just played an indirect role within this whole thing and didn't know it, and then came to realize what that role was, and it just drove him to absolute despair, and so he took his own life as a result. It could be something like that, for all I know. Either that, or maybe he was silenced by somebody out of fear that he could speak out to somebody in order to shed some light on what's really going on within the village. I have no proof of that either, of course. And I'm just pulling wild possibilities out of my butt at this point here with very little to go on. I've been going on for quite a while now about this whole thing. Well over 43 minutes. And I know there are still some things I could elaborate on, but I feel like that at least some of you guys are going to start grilling me about a lot of the stuff that I brought up here in order to either try to poke holes in some of my theories, or at least try to get a better understanding on where I'm coming from with some of these theories of mine, if there's anything that you're confused about. So, I encourage any of you who have stuck with me up until this point in the video, that if you're curious to know more about, any further questions that may arise from all the stuff I've talked about, to check out the comment sections on the video, and see how I respond to any questions that at least some of you guys decide to post to me, because I'm positive that there are going to be some of you who will question me, and, well, frankly, I'm prepared for it, or at least as prepared as I can be. Because, frankly, I want to see if any of my ideas here can stand up to any scrutiny that you guys may put them under. So, with that being said, I think I'm going to end things here in just a minute. Because, like I said, a lot of this stuff is just me mostly just speculating on what could actually be going on based on some observations I made on a possible pathogen being at work within the village. All this stuff that I've talked about is a lot of stuff to it's a lot of stuff here to spontaneously pull out of the ether and think about, when all I've really based this on is just how a possible virus seems to behave. But once again, I must stress that the reason I think I might be onto something here is because if I'm right about any of this, then Rika's death at the end of Chapter 3 suddenly makes a whole lot more sense to me. In fact, Rika's death might end up being the single most crucial part to how this whole conspiracy is set up. Because it could possibly be her death that is meant to essentially act as the nuke within Hinamizawa. The fear nuke. It's a lot to take in, but yeah. Maybe I might be wrong about a lot of this stuff, maybe all of it. But somehow, I don't think I am. Call it a gut feeling. I just need to tie all the loose ends together and see if I can figure out how everything else I'm still unsure about may play into this conspiracy. Or maybe I can use these loose ends to find ways to pull this grand old destroy Hinamizawa conspiracy of mine apart at the seams, and force myself to have to start over again from square one, rethink everything that I know, and come up with a new theory as to what's going on. Time will tell, I suppose. Anyway, if you manage to last through all my rambling up until this point, I thank you, and, well, at the very least, if you don't think I'm right about any of the stuff I've been rambling on about for the past 47 minutes, I hope that I at the very least have got your noggins jogging a bit here, and maybe got some theories of your own that you might want to share with me. Because I'd be very interested to hear if any of you guys got any alternative ideas as to what the hell is actually going on here. So with that being said, I consider Chapter 5 of Higurashi When They Cry Kai to be officially over, and so I'm going to bring everything to an end here. I hope you guys enjoyed this last episode of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 5. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And I will see you all for the beginning of Chapter 6. Take care.